My name's Bryn. With me in Welsh.
Oh.
Oh, Merry Christmas.
Hello everyone, welcome to episode 5 of our podcast. I'm Wendy from My Three Cats Cat Sitters.
I'm Eloise, cat sitter and social media manager for My Three Cats Cat Sitters.
And here we are back again, and today we are talking about
how cats can help your mental health.
Yes, Eloise a little while back did a blog post on this very subject.
I did, yeah. I thought it was quite an important topic to talk about. I feel like pets in general are really good to help mental health, and I think cats specifically are very good for people struggling with mental health issues, but just people that need a little companion in their life if they're lonely. But before we get into that, what have we done this week? What have you been up to?
What have we been up to this week? Okay, so I've had a busy week and a quiet week. I've not done as many visits this week, which I am trying to step back from.
Yes.
Somewhat successfully, because I do need to. So I have been doing a lot of admin work. I've been looking at all our Christmas bookings. We've got a lot of Christmas bookings. We are now full for Christmas Day, unfortunately. So I've sent out another newsletter.
Wow, that's 2 in 2 weeks.
I know.
That's good.
But I did need to do that because we're still getting Christmas requests in. So got a few workarounds around that. But I've been looking at our Christmas schedule. I've also been looking at our team, and I've been to see another new cat sitter, potential, well, almost definite, who's actually one of our current customers. Ronald and Noodles owner. Hello, Sarah. Which went really well. Potentially another member of our team. So I can't remember what we're up to now. Maybe 14?
13, 15? Just constantly
20,
going up
25,
now.
I don't know. All great, all brilliant, all cat people, just fabulous team. Hopefully it's just all getting a bit easier because we've got people who can all cover all our visits. Looking good. So what have you been doing?
Visits? I've had some visits. Still,
who have you been looking at?
Well, this week I've had 2 main lots of visits. I have been looking after Tango and Jasper.
Oh, I love those.
They're so lovely, and they're 2 cats that are completely different personalities. Tango, he's such a sweetie, but he's so nervous and just a little bit weary of me. But even from my first visit, which was like in May, I think, his confidence has grown so much.
He loves you.
Yeah, he used to just run off upstairs and I wouldn't really see him, but now, he'll sit sort of near me and he'll give me a little sniff and whatnot. And then Jasper is just like, feed me now. And like he'll just be around you the whole time. So I had them, and then I also had Stanley, Betty, Walter and Peggy.
Stanley, Betty,
Mrs.
Walter
Fitch,
and Peggy.
if you're watching, we love your 4. You actually came with me last night to feed them because they're just so lovely. I've had those guys. I'm picking up another couple over the weekend, but nothing too crazy this week.
It's a quiet time of year. We're just building up for the big Christmas rush. Just using the time to get ourselves straight.
Get prepared.
Do some more planning. Let's talk about we'll talk about your blog that you wrote.
So I wrote a blog post. I'm not sure when I wrote it. It was earlier this year. And I wrote about how cats help our mental health. And I just thought I'd pick out a few bits from that because it got some nice little facts in there. So it said that having a cat, or just like stroking a cat and being around a cat, releases some sort of love hormone in humans. don't ask me what the specific is because I don't know that.
And that's enough.
A love hormone.
That's nice.
So yeah, you feel comfortable, you're safe around them, it's lovely.
I love you.
Coco's like, what's going on? It's also been proven that when a cat purrs, it can actually lower your blood pressure and relax your nervous system. Aww. So I think people don't realise that just like little things cats do actually have a physical effect on us, which we probably don't even notice.
Yeah,
but
you do it without thinking, don't you?
Yeah, I think we'll be sat here on the couch with Coco or whichever one, and naturally you feel calmer. Yeah. You don't necessarily think, oh, I feel so much calmer now, but you do. You sit there and relax. And
I mean, how many times do I'll be like, I'm gonna sit down and I'm like, I need a cat.
Yeah,
I need a cat.
I need to go find me a cat. I have to go off around the house finding you a cat.
Because I just like to sit with one of them, and like one of the other ones will come and sit with me.
I always like, especially Ronnie and Billy do it the most. Probably Ronnie even more because he's bigger. Sometimes when you lay down and they sit, they lie up on your chest. It almost has that same feeling. I can imagine when you have a weighted blanket, which is supposedly supposed to calm you down. It's that feeling, like having that.
Especially when because they get on and then they'll do like all the biscuit making. And,
I think it really does have a physical effect on you.
Yeah.
I think the whole point of the blog post was that cats in general being more low maintenance pets means that in general, again, not necessarily all the time, but they are less stress. I think when you compare them to dogs, when you have to go and take dogs on a walk, and dogs you have to wash them and whatnot if they get dirty or whatnot, whereas cats will do that all themselves. So I think because they are low maintenance, really they're here for us just for the cuddles. We don't have to. I mean, obviously litter trays and food and water, but that's not really anything.
Yeah, I think for someone who is, say, struggling a bit with their mental health, or I mean, say for example, someone who's never had a pet before, and is looking for somebody who perhaps lives on their own, and is feeling like they something that perhaps it's been suggested that a pet might help them. I think a cat is probably an ideal pet for somebody like that, because they, like you say, they are quite low maintenance. You can just sit there for hours and hours, and you don't really have to do much, and they will just be there for you, and they give you that companionship.
Yeah, they do.
And in a lot of cases, not all cases, hello Reggie, but in a lot of cases, they give you all that love back.
Do.
And if you don't want to do it, if you just want to lie in bed all day and you don't have that energy to get up, they'll lie happily, there with you, and they'll purr and they'll lie there next to you, and that's kind of all you need sometimes.
It really is.
I know when we were in lockdown, obviously a lot of people had a lot of struggles, and it was a horrible time. And I know I personally, I hated the whole being in the house, locked in the house. Obviously not physically
working
locked
from
in,
home,
but
you were always at home.
And the cats just like really helped. When it was, when I was on my own, because you lot all kind of went out, didn't you? You were still working, and Alex was at school. So there was a lot of time when I was just here by myself, and the cats just kind of like helped.
Just their presence. It's someone else in the house with you, isn't it? And
when I was just like a bit, oh God, is this never going to end? I'd just kind of come down and find a cat. And,
she's probably here.
And it just kind of really helped me through. And it just sounds silly, but they just were
really
always there. So there is a lot to be said for having a pet. I mean, obviously, dogs have got their own.
They've got their own
benefits, haven't they? And I'm sure, like, dog people will say exactly the same about dogs. But I definitely would say for somebody who's never had a pet before.
Cats are a great
Certainly
starting
a cat
point.
would, yeah, I mean, you know, especially you can have like an indoor cat, and you know, you'd never have to leave the house if you don't want to.
Yeah, they're always around. Yeah.
And they just give you so much back.
They really do. I think when it comes to saying things like that cats give you so much back, that is something that only true cat people understand.
Yes.
I think if you're not a cat person, which is fine, not everyone, you know, a lot of people are dog people. A lot of people see cats and think, oh, they just scratch and they just hiss at you. And but I think that says more about you than it says about them.
Yeah.
I think,
oh yeah.
You know, like we've got 4. They never. I mean, maybe apart from Reggie, but when do they actually? When does Coco ever scratch or hiss?
Coco
has never ever. How long have we had her?
Bit or well, I don't know, 15 years.
Yeah, and she has never hurt any of us.
No.
And so I think
you're the best cat in the world.
Oh, she really is.
No.
Yeah, I think finding the right cat for you is just perfect, and it'll just almost solve so many problems. Yeah.
And it's kind of like a two-way thing as well, because if you go to one of the animal shelters, you can give. There's so many cats out there like needing a home as well, aren't there? You know, you can adopt a rescue.
You save their life as much as they'll like help yours.
Yeah. Oh no, I'll start crying.
But it's true, it is.
And also, I'd like to just mention also a bit about this new renters reform law. There's been a change to the. It's called the renters reform. I have to just read it off here. So the renters reform bill is a slight change to the terms of landlords. Like when you're renting a house now. Previously, a landlord could just have a blanket ban on all pets.
Just say no.
Okay, so it could get quite difficult for you to rent if you had a pet, a cat, say. And I know we had an awful case, didn't we?
Did.
Was it like this year?
Yeah, maybe
so
a
friend of my mum had was it Tingles?
Yeah, Tingles, little black and white cat.
Yeah, so a lady that my friend of my mum's, she was having to move from her house to rented accommodation.
Yeah,
because her husband had died. She moved to a rented apartment, and there was no mention that
she couldn't have.
Well, there was no mention that she couldn't have a cat.
Her cat. Keep Tingles,
so she took Tingles with her.
Yeah,
and she'd been there for like 9 months. Hello, Billy. With like nobody had said anything, and Tingles, her cat, was there with her. And then all of a sudden, she got a letter through the door to say that she wasn't allowed a cat, and Tingles had to go. And this was her cat that she'd had for like 12 years or something.
Yeah,
and
horrible.
there was no leeway. She just had to like get rid of him.
No, even like sort of feeling of like, there was no kindness about it. It was very much he has awful. To go, and it's horrible.
And like my mum asked if we could help. And we put out a post on Facebook, and we got like so many people going, "Oh, we can help. But how awful for like poor lady.
Yeah.
So anyway, we did find a like really nice new owner, and we kind of helped.
They lived nearby as well.
Yeah, they lived really nearby, and she could visit Tingles. But it was awful, really.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was only shortly after that this new law came in that. So the landlord now, rather than just saying no pets, they have the default now is that pets are allowed unless a landlord has a reasonable reason why you can't have a pet. They can't just say no, you can't have a pet
without giving any.
So hopefully it will now make it easier for people to have pets
in a rented,
a rented accommodation.
Yeah,
so, I just thought I would mention that because. There's loads of
things
could
have been different.
Yeah, there's loads of people who sort of ended up in situations where they've had to rent places. I don't know, like relationships break down and that sort of thing, and people have to move properties, and if they can't take their pets with them, it's really like a proper kick in the teeth. It makes makes hard situations even worse sometimes, doesn't it? If you can't take your pet with you.
I know, it's losing a part of the family, isn't it? It's not like, it's not just an animal, it's part
it's
of
your part
you.
of your family, isn't it? And it, people really depend on their on their pets, don't they? Especially if you live on their own.
Which I want to touch on. So my dad lives by himself in a rented apartment, and for a long time he didn't have animals. He'd had obviously cats with us. Once he'd moved out, he didn't have any cats, and it got to a point where I thought, you need to get a cat, because I would be with him once or twice a week, and same with Alex, but other than that he'd be by himself, and I felt that he needed someone else to talk to. I mean, we all talk to ourselves, but if you can say you're talking to a cat, it doesn't sound as crazy. So he ended up getting a cat, Draco, if you remember Draco, who was from Cats Protection. There was a lot of complications with him. He was very, very ill, and he didn't end up having him that long. He ended up passing away, and it was heartbreaking for him. It was horrible. And he went very dramatic and said, I can't have another cat, I can't go through it again. But it got to that point again where I said, you need a cat, you're by yourself, you need something to talk to. And luckily in his situation, his landlord was very happy for him to have a cat, so he was lucky, because this was a few years ago. Anyway, we ended up getting our Mavis, who we got as a kitten, and she's been the best thing for him. She will follow him around the flat, and she sleeps on his bed every night, and she cuddles up to him up here, and I, he probably wouldn't say it, but I think she's helped him a lot. What's the matter? Hello.
And it's like something really to like focus on, and
and I think just that it's something else for him to care for and to look after. And I think having that responsibility of looking after her and all of this, I think it has helped him, and it's just done the world for him, I think. So I do think, if for people that are living alone, I mean, like we said, cats can really help.
Because they're like, they're like part of your family. Like it's like having a little. It's not like having a child, but it's like it kind of almost is. You've got to feed them. You've got to feed them at a certain time, and they need looking after, don't they? And it's just like the funny little things that they do, and like it's something to like make you laugh every day and stuff.
And like,
I mean, look at my dad.
Yeah, you talk about your dad now.
I mean, my mum and dad they've had dogs for quite a long time. Dogs and cats. They had cats when I was growing up, and then they had a dog and a cat for quite a long time. And then so recently they just had a dog, didn't they?
Yes.
Pippin.
Well, they had for a long time.
So Pippin was quite old, little Jack Russell. So my dad doted on Pippin. She used to go everywhere with them in the caravan. And out on walks. Always there, like going, rushing off, chasing rabbits, and getting stuck down rabbit holes and all this. Anyway, bless her, Pippin sadly died last year.
Yeah, last year.
And my dad was absolutely distraught. I've never seen him as upset, I don't think, as he was, and it really, really hit him very hard. Like he couldn't speak about Pippin without filling up. You couldn't
mention her at all.
He was really, really, really sad, and he was like really upset about Pippin, bless her. Anyway, so a little bit of time went by, and they just were saying, "Oh, the house was so empty," but they were saying they were sort of thinking, well, they didn't want the commitment of having to sort of take another dog for walks and this and that. So they said, well, perhaps we'll think about getting a cat.
Yeah.
So they decided to get a cat from Cats Protection again.
Yeah.
So they got a little tortoiseshell cat called Esme. And my dad is like a new person.
Yeah.
She is the light of his life.
She really is. He just adores her.
He's on his hands and knees playing with her.
Yeah.
He's throwing her toys around. He's out in the garden with her. She follows him into the shed. She's up on the fence. Every time he's in the garden, she's out there with him.
She follows the newspaper with him.
He goes for a walk down the path, and she follows him to the end of the end of the fence, and she waits for him to come back. And then, he's like a new man.
Yeah, yeah.
My mum was constantly sending me photos of, oh, look at your dad, and he's my dad's cleaning the windows on the outside, and Esme's on the inside like this, poking her paws around.
Aww.
So yeah, another great example.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, you little guys, you help us out, don't you?
You're putting all white fur all over my black clothing.
Yeah.
Aww.
Hey, little princess. So yeah, I think that's kind of what we'd wanted to talk to you about, really. Yeah. How we all just muddle on through with the help of our little furry little friends.
And if you are watching and you've been thinking about potentially getting a cat, I think this is your sign to do it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So yeah,
that's episode 5.
That is episode 5. If you'd like to get in touch with us, or you're thinking of getting a cat and you'd like any advice, or you've got a cat and you'd like us to come and do some cat sitting for you, you can visit our website at www.my3cats.co.uk, or our social media is
My 3 Cats Warrington, both for Facebook and Instagram.
Okay, and we'll see you next week for episode 6.
Yes.
I don't know what we'll be talking about.
No, we never do.
But it'll be something exciting. See you next week.
Bye. I got it.
Put that on.